Hello, my people at always salute all obedient. How on a day? You see this video. You can see say attire Còmm. Now Yoruba they call Loyun Opomo for bag Dani because I don't sleep, wake up, sleep, wake up, sleep, wake up because of the story. It's not adding up. You know they make sense. APC don't reply Labour Party. They say that for future money. So no be bad commit the crime. Say na the money commit the crime. Like for real. I can't they look say shit the lawyers then really go law school, they know what they're doing. I just feel they're tired, they're exhausted, they're confused, they don't know what to do. They don't give them money, huge amount of money, they just need to do something. That's why they like, then they confuse themselves. This is in Nigeria. And money no they fly. Now you will get accounts, now get access, direct access to your account, or you tell somebody to pay money into your account. Money no get wings, you no get hand, you no get leg. To concern our money and commit. You sure my let to now watch this video. I just tire. Come on, guys. No waiting, eh? Please help me snatch this video and run with it. Make them see them. Say they're not making sense. And you know, no waiting, eh? OB is coming. That one, I'm sure. I go see you now for my next video. I get plenty of updates, too, but more than just watch this one and share it. Thank you.
Looking at APC's reply to the final address of Labour Party, the first sentence that hits hard is the argument that civil forfeiture rests on the idea that the property itself committed the crime, not the owner. How can a lawyer seriously argue this while maintaining a straight face? By this argument, it means that there shouldn't be anything like money laundering, because the money wires itself to different accounts till it becomes legit money. That Tinubu that wired all the money, laundered all the money, that the money put itself in his account, that he shouldn't be held responsible. These people should take Nigerians seriously. This is not a joke. These were the kind of statements people made on social media. We were thinking maybe they are ignorant, they don't know the law. No one knew that it came from their councils. And to imagine that this person might become Attorney General tomorrow in Nigeria, no, this is laughable, to say the least. By this argument, they are trying to say that a driver cannot be held responsible if the car he's driving hits someone, that the car should be arrested or put in prison. Can you imagine? Why are these people making a mockery of themselves? They don't think of tomorrow, that their reputation might be on the line. Maybe they don't care about their reputation. But lawyers who care about reputation always consider the kind of cases they take. Because you can't just be arguing for arguing's sake. How can you say that a man who steals money or launders money shouldn't be held responsible? Not to talk of the fact that the money in question are proceeds of narcotics trafficking, that the man should never be held responsible for that, that the property seized, which in this case $460,000, is the one that committed the crime. How laughable. Well, maybe there's something else going on behind the scenes that Nigerians are not aware of. Because this kind of argument coming from experienced lawyers, SANs for that matter, maybe there's something we don't know about. There's a Supreme Court judgment on this kind of matter which can guide the tribunal judges. And if there's a scale where one can weigh crimes, which one is worse, which one is worst, then the forfeiture Abacha made is not as grave as that of Tinubu, because Tinubu's involves narcotics. And for someone to turn around and say that he should not be held responsible, that it is the money that committed the crime, monies don't breathe. They are not humans. All properties, cars, houses, whatever, they don't breathe. It is humans that commit crimes. And mind you, people have already gone to prison before they even started looking for Tinubu. So, to tell me that it is the money that committed the crime, how about the people that went to prison for the same crime? Anyway, it will be interesting to see how the Presidential Election Tribunal judges will react to this their argument that monies or properties are to be held responsible for the crime instead of the people involved, instead of the people that wired the money, received narcotics proceeds money, wired them, moved them in many accounts in order to launder the money, to legitimize the money, to make it look as if it's no longer from narcotics, that those kind of people should never be held accountable, that they didn't commit any crime. We'll wait and see. Apart from this line, there are other arguments they made about the forfeiture. Of course, they are shopping for technicalities. Imagine saying that the petitioners didn't tender any evidence that supports the case they cited in the US in their reply, that they should have tendered them to actually confirm the existence of the proceedings in the US. So all the cases they cited in their own final address, did they tender the case documents as evidence in court? This is in response to the US Supreme Court judgment that Labour Party cited in their final address. In that judgment, the court held that forfeiture is a fine. So APC are basically telling the court that the Labour Party should have tendered that judgment in court to prove that it actually happened, that the proceedings actually held in the United States. Even in this their reply, they referenced many judgments. Did they tender them one by one in court to prove that they actually happened? Why are they trying to create this barrier that whatever happened in the United States needs to be proved differently here? They also argued that Section 137, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution that the petitioners relied on, which reads, by any court or tribunal or substituted authority or any other sentence imposed on him by such a court or tribunal. They said that this section is not supposed to be interpreted without reference to Section 1 and 6 of the 1999 Constitution. What they are trying to say is that the courts being referenced in the Constitution are Nigerian courts, not the US District Court or any other foreign court. This is strange. A court is a court. When Oboru challenged Ibori on his former conviction in the United Kingdom in the 90s, why didn't the court throw it out and say that foreign convictions are not recognized by the Nigerian Constitution? The court didn't do that. Instead, Ibori was arguing that it wasn't him that went to prison in the UK, despite bearing the same first name, middle name, and surname as the person that went to jail in the UK. So that judgment was based on technicality that they couldn't prove that it was Ibori that went to prison. Not that the foreign courts or their judgment and sentence is not recognized. After all, Oboru was seeking to disqualify Ibori because he has gone to prison as an ex-convict. And it was the same section that Oboru relied on to disqualify Ibori. So it is wrong for APC to argue that the court or tribunal that the drafters wrote in this section means only Nigerian courts. If that's the case, the court wouldn't have entertained the matter at that time because Oboru was talking about a conviction in the UK. So their argument is very strange. Let's even assume that they are correct. Do they understand the implication going forward? If the court were to buy into this argument, it will mean that all persons that have been convicted abroad or gone to prison can contest an election in Nigeria without being questioned, without being told, hey, you went to prison. They will say, no, the Constitution only recognizes Nigerian courts, not foreign courts. This is laughable. Do they even understand that the NDLEA actually arrests people at the airport? People that went to prison abroad for drug-related offenses. Yes, they actually arrest them at the airport and they serve time again in Nigeria. So this their argument is just baseless. There are many instances of people being arrested at the airport to serve time again in Nigeria. And if the Constitution doesn't recognize foreign courts, on what basis did we sign extradition treaties with other countries? Yes, in the past few years alone, the United States have made extradition requests of many individuals from Nigeria. Before an extradition request can be made, a court of law must indict someone. So based on that, they will now make the request from the corresponding country. So if Nigerian Constitution doesn't recognize foreign courts, why are we handing our citizens to a foreign court? Now to one of the objections they made against the admissibility of the US District Court, the court that fined Tinubu in US. They initially said that because it was not registered in Nigeria, that the court cannot accept it or rely on it. Now they are arguing that even the Foreign Judgments Ordinance and Foreign Judgment Reciprocal Enforcement Act does not recognize US, that US is not among the countries recognized. So what it means is that even if Labour Party tried to register it in order to bring it to court, that the US judgment cannot be registered because it's not included in the act. This one a confusion. They first of all argued for it, and in their reply they are now arguing against. So which one is it? Now, let's see what they're saying about the double nomination of Shettima. They made a lot of arguments. Let's not just go over all this now because of time. Basically, they've now turned full circle and shopping for technicality. They are now saying that it is a pre-election matter, that it is beyond the scope of what the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal can handle. In conclusion, they asked a question, whether the Supreme Court will arrive at a different decision considering all the evidence they saw during the last trial. They went on to answer in the negative that the Supreme Court will not find anything new. So what they're saying is that the court should not see this one as a new case, that the Supreme Court have already decided on this matter, that it should be final. But we all know that there is new evidence, and the fact that Labour Party argued that the Supreme Court did not decide on the merit of the case, that they only decided based on local standard, and now that a candidate in the election is challenging the double nomination of Shettima, it is right for the Supreme Court to hear the matter based on its merits. Another interesting one is the 18,000 blood results from IREV. They are arguing that these results were not demonstrated in front of the court. For that reason, they said the court lacks the bias to peruse them in their chambers. Yes, they are looking for another technicality on this one. Remember that Labour Party told the court in their final address to take these blood copies as the results that INEC relied on to collate the entire results. They also made all sorts of arguments to prove that IREV is not really required, that even if the results are not uploaded, that it doesn't prove substantial non-compliance, that the election shouldn't be cancelled based on that. We've covered this extensively, so no need analyzing them anymore. Another funny one is the 25% requirement in Abuja. They made all sorts of arguments that Abuja should be treated as a state. At the end of the day, they still cited a judicial precedent on the Abuja 25% requirement, where the Supreme Court held in Buhari versus INEC 2008 that the "and" is conjunctive. So after arguing against something, they turn full circle and cite a judicial precedent which supports that "and" is conjunctive, which means that after a candidate scores 25% in 2/3 of 36 states of Nigeria, he must still score 25% in Federal Capital Territory. So what are they really arguing? Just like Tinubu's council argued in their first final address that Abuja should be treated as a state, but after Labour Party replied their final address and raised many issues of law to isolate Section 299 of the Constitution, which they argued for, that Abuja should be treated as a state, the Labour Party's reply was so impressive that Tinubu's council changed course when he replied, but with a caveat that 25% is actually required in Abuja, but it is only 25% of 2/3 of the entire votes, not the entire vote. So they are just confused. Or are they intentionally doing all this, hoping on something that we don't know? Time will tell.